welcome to the DHL Supply Chain Pricing Power Index update. I'm here with Andrew Cox. Andrew, what do you have for us today?
Tony, we had no change in the DHL Supply Chain Pricing Power Index this week. I can tell you why. One of the big reasons is the way that our outbound tender volume index is built and calculated and exhibited is a 7-day moving average. So as such, anytime that we have a big national holiday where a lot of shippers shut down and drivers get off the road, you have this week-long kind of trough where volumes are disrupted. You can see it happen the last 2 years. It happens every year like clockwork. So it kind of makes weekly comparisons useless, really. We can't really compare what the volumes were this week compared to last week, but we can look at the trough and how deep the trough went and how quickly it can recover. And this year, although just slightly, was a little bit shallower than the previous 2 years, which gives me a little bit of hope that the volumes are going to come roaring out when they're back up to their normal levels. I think it'll be tomorrow or Sunday, so I think the volumes are going to come out strong. We didn't move the supply chain price per index this week because volumes are they're where they are. We think rejections are going to keep climbing up a little bit. That's what Zach talked about here. It was a bit surprising. You usually see that July slump after the 4th, rejections start coming down. That didn't happen right now. It hasn't happened so far, which is a good sign for the carriers. I think they're strongly positioned here at 55, looking to move forward in the coming weeks.
Right, and as you saw, or just mentioned right there, that trough was not as deep as it was historically. And when we're looking at moving forward, I always ask this, what's the outlook, I guess, just even for the next month or so?
I think the outlook is pretty good for the carriers. So, we think that there are a lot of the areas of the country that may go into another lockdown. But when those lockdowns hit, it wasn't so much the freight volumes that got hurt dramatically. Really, the industries that are being shut down, there'll be restaurants or possibly hotels. There are a lot of service-based industries that don't move a ton of freight on their own. And even then, if those industries were to be locked down and the people that live in those areas aren't able to go there, they may shift their purchasing to goods. You may see another grocery explosion like we've seen back in March and April. So the carriers are not in such a bad position this time around with the lockdowns as they were the last one. I don't think they're going to be as severe.
And one of the other areas that you often mention whenever we get up here is that Bank of America credit card data. Certainly, if we go into another lockdown, potentially we would see more potential credit card data or for e-commerce spiking up, and that should surely kind of keep volumes flowing and capacity relatively tight, right?
Yeah, it should. That should help. The only thing that we worry about, again, another theme we've been talking about, those unemployment benefits run out July 31st. There is talks about extending them. We don't know what that's going to be right now, but I read an analysis this morning from Morgan Stanley that said they're expecting roughly a $40 billion hit to personal income starting in August when these payments run out. There's about 31 million people receiving $600 a week right now. So that's a lot of money that's going to be now taken out of the economy. Whether that consumer spending can stay up at the elevated levels that it is right now, I'm not so sure. But in any case, I think the carriers are in okay spot. I mean, look at spot rates right now. We have spot rates at the highest point that they've been all year. This is our DAT futures index. I mean, even when the last buying pandemic kind of forced rates up, it's nowhere near this. And this is seasonal peak as well. I mean, we're already at $1.80 a mile. So that's really good for the carriers. I think we're going to see elevated rates as long as the volumes stay elevated. Right now, with elevated volumes, and we're seeing capacity showing a little signs of stickiness up there with the tender rejection rates in the double-digit range. If we can see that for a couple more weeks, the carriers are going to be really feeling good.
Excellent, Andrew. And one of the things, I just saw your name in my email inbox, sorry. Where can people find out more about your analysis here?
Yeah, so you can go to freightwaves.com/passport for all of our stuff. You can also find Great Quarter Guys. That is my team's podcast each week we do on Tuesday. You can find that on FreightWaves TV or anywhere our podcasts are available.
Excellent. We appreciate it. And thank you so much for tuning in. That's going to do it for this DHL Supply Chain Pricing Power Index update. Be sure to tune in next Thursday for all the latest.